baby.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
So we all went to bed with these images, celebrations in both Tel Aviv and Gaza, at the prospect of a stop to all this violence and the families reunited. We were all hopeful last night. But today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he is delaying final approval of this deal. Elizabeth Palmer has the latest from Tel Aviv. Liz, good morning to you. What in the world is going on here?
Good morning, Gail. The Israeli media is reporting that the delay has largely to do with the prime minister needing to buy some time to cope with vehement opposition to this deal inside his cabinet. But broadly speaking, almost everybody accepts it's a done deal.
For Gazans, it was the best possible news. Knowing the bombing would stop on Sunday brought overwhelming relief and joy. This little boy said it all. We're going home. The deal stipulates 600 trucks a day of desperately needed aid will start to flow into Gaza, while on Sunday Hamas will begin releasing hostages, initially 3 of a total of 33 over 6 weeks. All of them women, children, the sick, and men over 50. In exchange, Israel will release more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners from its jails. Among the hostages held captive in Gaza, there are 3 Americans, Eden Alexander, Sagi Dekelchen, and Keith Siegel. In Tel Aviv, a small crowd gathered on the spot where protesters week after week had demanded that Israel's government bring the hostages home. Yifat Calderon was among them. Her cousin, Ofer, was kidnapped on October 7th, 2023, from his kibbutz. Do you feel a huge relief tonight?
No, I'm going to feel a huge relief when it's going to be done, when we're going to get all the 98 hostages alive and the dead ones back home.
You won't believe it till you see him.
Yes.
But the ceasefire is still 3 long days away. Overnight, Israel's military attacked Gaza again. While all over Israel, the hostages' families wait and worry about everything that could still go wrong.
Seriously, and it's because Netanyahu was lying this morning, okay? He was telling the press that the reason why there was a delay in acceptance of the deal on the part of the Israeli government was because there was some last-minute details, some last-minute maneuvering by Hamas. It was Hamas's fault. Now, we all know now, after he lied this morning, and this is the thing, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And then we found out that the reason why he didn't accept is because his security cabinet, which is made up of his coalition of right-wing lunatic fringe psychos like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and all these guys who want to just wipe it. Now, they are the proponents of continuing until there ain't nothing left in the Gaza Strip. That would be the genocide, okay? That's what they're for. And he can't get them to buy in. They're saying, if you do this, we will quit and you will lose your ability to stay in power, which is what I was explaining to Steve in L.A. yesterday, which is why there is no way that he wanted to enter into a ceasefire with Trump or without Trump. Here's the thing. The idea that the 6 weeks and the, over 50 men and the wounded and the very young and the American hostages would be released in the first tranche of releases by Hamas is what Donald Trump is going to point to and say, I did that. See that? That was me. And without me, this wouldn't have happened. Now, the only reason why, Trump's people, Witkoff, the real estate investor, was involved is because of the continuity that's necessary to execute on this deal. Obviously, Joe Biden was only going to be president for 5 more days when this deal was actually accepted in principle, not voted on by the Israeli cabinet and definitely not by the Israeli government, but was accepted in principle. So if he only had 5 days left, you're going to have to rely on the next American president to execute it. and that would be Donald John Trump. Now, if the reason why people are giving credit to Donald John Trump for, getting Netanyahu to say yes is because they have no intention of keeping their word, what kind of a president is that? Because what would happen then is Donald Trump would ride the wave of relief and joy that the bombing in Gaza has ended, at least for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of peace, everybody. That's kind of what's on the table right now. And a release of 33 hostages, like 3 a day for the whole 6 weeks, every day, right? And then at the end of 6 weeks, what? What? Well, if Donald Trump is Donald Trump and Netanyahu's Netanyahu, they go right back to it. And the reason why a real estate investor was sent over there as an envoy is because he's appraising the land for development by Jared and others. Now, I hate that might be true, but that's something that might be true because these are the people we're dealing with in large, powerful positions. And that is a shame. That is a crying shame. Now, you might say, well, why did Biden let it go on? Because Biden had the safety and the security of the United States and also a very deep, devotion to a democracy in a very hostile neighborhood. Same thing with Ukraine. It's a democracy in a very hostile neighborhood. And Biden defends democracies because they get our back. And part of it was to defeat Iran. And that's what has happened here. And we don't have any American troops deployed in a war zone. Now, it's so interesting to me that Barack Obama ended the war in Iraq. Now, I want you to know that when Bush was leaving, after he crashed the economy and, was waging this war for almost 9 years at this point, 8 years at this point, when he was voted out, okay, after his second term, by the way, people gave that man to, it boggles my mind when I look at the one-termers, okay, who are Democrats and why. But when Obama came in, Bush had said, just so you have some reference about what they say and what they do. 2008, Bush had said, I'm pulling all the combat troops out of Iraq. Do you know when all the combat troops came out of Iraq? 3 years later. Barack Obama was president for 3 years when that actually was something that could be done, that was done. Joe Biden ended a war in Afghanistan that went on for 20 years, and people criticized him for that. So Obama ends a 10-year war in Iraq. He's voted, you elect Trump instead. Biden ends a 20-year war in Afghanistan. You elect Trump again. Don't you dare ever come to me saying that you voted for peace. I just don't think there will be any to be had in 6 weeks. I hope I'm wrong. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to RandiRhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.